is Alex Almazan, but today it's not about me. We are here to interview and take a few minutes of time to get an understanding of Ms. Lisa Bonich, who is running for a commission seat in the city of South Miami. As I said, my name is Alex Almazan, and I run a law firm here in South Miami. I own a building in South Miami. He was a former resident of South Miami. I've known Lisa and her family. So we wanted to try and take 10 or 15 minutes today to give a little bit of a backdrop into who she is. So in an effort to try and get going and get started on this ahead of the November 8th election, let's start with the only softball question that should ever be asked in a political discussion, which is tell us a little bit about yourself, your election, the election, and teach people who are going to watch this what you want them to know about you. And by the way, thank you.
No, thank you. This is going to be fun, I think.
Yeah.
So my name is Lisa Bonich. I am obviously a resident of the city. I've been a resident for almost 15 years. I am the current vice chair of the planning board and most recent chair of the planning board. I've been involved on the planning board for about, I'd say a little bit over 2 years, 2.5 years now. It really opened my eyes to what was going on in the city as a whole, made me more aware, and in becoming more aware, I started seeing things I didn't necessarily agree with. And so the not easiest, because this definitely hasn't been easy, but the most direct way to have an influence is to run for office. And so I decided that that was my best avenue to help the city as much as I can. Literally, if not number one, it's number two, residents asking me what's going to happen in downtown. Some residents are aware, but all of us should be aware that out of our tax revenue, residents pay approximately 1/3 of the tax revenue in this city, and commercial pays 2/3. So it is very important to us as residents to have a successful commercial district, because if not, we see our taxes go up. There is an issue with Sunset Place because it's now been languishing for a while. And there are many reasons for that. We could probably talk about that for a whole hour, but the simplification of that is developers want to do one thing. The city wasn't amenable to what the developers had been discussing, and so it languishes. In speaking with the shop owners in South Miami, I said, what can we do to help? What different incentives could there be? And interestingly enough, it wasn't that they wanted an incentive or they wanted some kind of help. Their biggest concern was having Sunset Place be successful, because in the city right now, there is no anchor in our downtown. So the likelihood that you're going to go shopping in downtown isn't really there. You might go to Footworks, or you might go to one of the shops where you know someone, but you're not just going to browse around in that entire downtown area because there's no anchor to draw you in. There's no big thing that you're going to want to see or do, or a shop that you absolutely can't live without that is part of a chain. So the draw is not there, and they feel that it will not be there until we revitalize the Sunset Place property. So it's a big concern, not only for commercial, but it needs to be a big concern for us, because if that doesn't happen, you look at the balloon of 100% and you squeeze 1/3, that 1/3 is going to start moving over and over while we cover more of the tax base.
And I will tell you, and I've told you this story separately, and everybody who is a resident of South Miami should hear this, because I now live in Pinecrest, and I left South Miami in part because of the kind of the politics, the anti-development nature of what was going on here 8 to 10 years ago, and the constant roadblocks of what would happen. But my children now, when they want to go to the movies, they want to meet friends, they're now older, they drive right by Sunset Place and go all the way to Merrick Park. And they go to Merrick Park, and that's where it is now thriving, and kids are running around, and people are having dinner, and restaurants, and all stuff. And it always shocks me that we have to drive right by Sunset Place, and that's not where I'm stopping. So you feel that, and it feels that it is a vital, it's what spills people out into the restaurants. It's what spills people out there. So it seems like when you go knock on people's doors, that has been a primary concern for them, right?
It has. And when people start to understand the the taxes in our city and what means what, that's where real interest comes in, because you have an interest because you want to have somewhere to go. But once you understand the repercussions of not having anything, it becomes more pressing.
So that has been something that trolls me. I think is an indicator of the city of South Miami. We need to do better in this city, which is, as I've witnessed the individual persecution from commissions where certain codes are even looked at being changed specifically in order to try and affect one individual or one business. I saw it with Stunnis Fitness. I saw it with Marco Drugs, one company, one business who is there to create an environment of people working out and healthy and getting an active and fit community. Another one that was there that had some issues that I'm familiar with, that is, for Pete's sakes, a drugstore who's providing medications in the industry. And talk a little bit about that. And I know you're familiar with what was there before it was Marco Drugs, but that I think is a very good indicator.
It's, 62nd Avenue has always had commercial in that area. It's not new to that area. It's actually been zoned commercial as far back as I know. And so when you apply for a commercial license, you have to say what you are. I'm a drugstore, I'm a personal gym, I'm a hair salon. You have to state it, because that's the type of paperwork then you're gonna have. Because you can't say I'm gonna have a beauty salon and then make it, a pharmacy. That's not okay. But what I saw, which is interestingly enough, what started getting me more and more interested in what was going on, was sitting on the planning board and having just random things come up to us like, hey, the city needs to review the noise ordinance. Then another time, hey, the city needs to review if boats are allowed in this, and this type of place. Hey, we need to review if you can have X, Y, or Z. And at the beginning in the planning board, you don't catch it because they're telling you, oh, we're just trying to fix the code. We're trying to make it, more harmonious. And so you kind of take them at face value and you make a decision. And it wasn't until we were going down the line where just things didn't make sense that we all started questioning, and we're still not given the answer. So I go to a commission meeting and I'm seeing what the decisions that we've made essentially in a vacuum are being, talked about at the commission and passed to persecute one business owner. And interestingly enough, it's that business owner who I didn't even know. I didn't know this man when all of this started. He is the one that kicked me over into wanting to run for commission. Because like I said to the commission that day, today it's him, tomorrow it could be me, but the next day it could be you, because you're not always going to be up there. And so it continued on. And so I went to another commission meeting, and things that were being said were not accurate as they related to what had been discussed during the planning board meeting. So I said in the commission meeting, and my bad, I'm out of turn. I said, excuse me, what you're being told is inaccurate. If you want to know what's accurate, I can tell you I'm the chair of the planning board. I was there. And I was told to be quiet. And I said, I refuse to be quiet because you're being made to make, you're making decisions based on erroneous information. And then I got escorted out with the police without being able to speak. And that, coupled with financial decisions that didn't make any sense to me, is what finally gave me the kick that I needed to run.
Yeah, when you talk about that, and I want to talk about your opponent for a second in the few minutes that we have left, when you talk about decisions that you were made, by any chance is one of those decisions, and again, I'm not a resident, but I follow it a little bit, was one any chance what I heard was an indication that there was tens of thousands of dollars that were being donated to Afghan refugees, as if that was a problem in the city of South Miami? Is that an example of what you're talking about?
Yes, I believe municipal government has one job: to take care of your municipality. And the needs of a municipality are not, I wouldn't say they're anywhere near what national issues are. We have different types of government to cover different types of things. Municipal government is responsible for your local taxes. They are responsible to pick up your garbage. They're responsible to give you a city that is clean and good to live in. They're basic needs. They're not pie in the sky things or even national things. And you're right, it was, I believe they wanted to give like $40,000 send it off to support Afghan families. And I understand the
These
plight.
are local tax dollars.
Yeah, they're local tax dollars being sent somewhere else completely, somewhere else in the United States. None of us voted on that. None of us said that was an issue for us. And so why are you making me pay for something I have no interest in?
Talk to me in a couple of minutes. Thanks. We're trying to squeeze in a lot in a little time, but I don't want to leave without you taking an opportunity. And this is the closest I'll come to giving you an endorsement, which is, I know you personally, and I can, and you know, it's good to have good people run, whether it's local office or national office. Good people don't run anymore. And one of the main reasons that good people don't run is because the essence of politics is still to try and smear opponents, to make opponents negative and run campaigns negative. I'm personally aware of the fact that you have been subjected to some of that yourself, and you didn't, to my knowledge, retaliate in a manner that was equally negative, but in fact seemed to have taken a high road. I'm not telling you that you have to do it right now, but take the last minute or two and talk to me about why a resident in the city of South Miami should be voting for you and not your opponent. And let's go ahead and give that person a name coming from you as you describe what you think are the key differences and why they should vote for you and not her.
Okay. My opponent is Michelle Reedon. She's actually a nice lady. So I was surprised when what happened because that's not what I knew, which is fine. Everybody makes decisions that work for them. And that's, you know what, that's okay. I come from a business background. I spent 20 years working in international art advisory. So what that taught me was I needed to be able to work within a very restricted budget. In other words, that's what you've got, and you've got to do this massive job with what you've got. So we had to manage budgets that were in the millions of dollars within a finite amount of time and not lose out of thousands of pieces of artwork. You can't lose one. So it taught me how to plan. It taught me logistics. It taught me budgeting. It taught me everything I needed to know to be able to do a job as a commissioner effectively. I need to understand budgets. I do. I need to understand flow. I do. And so between my work experience, when I worked for 20 years, I started as a logistics manager and I ended up as the president of US operations. And so I did everything soup to nuts. While you don't need to be the smartest or most experienced person to be able to do a job, I think you have to know how to do certain things. You have to know how to manage people, you have to know how to manage money, and you have to know how to manage time. If you have those three, anything is possible. But you need to dig into what those three mean to that person and how much experience in those three things they have. I like to think I'm extremely qualified to run for commission. I've been the chair of the planning board. I'm the vice chair now. I've got all this work experience that literally, I think, transfers perfectly into what I'm going to be doing if I win.
Thank you for being one of those people who's decided to do that. That's awesome.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me this avenue to speak. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it too. And I hope some people watch it because if anything, we educated them today on a candidate. And if the other candidate does the same thing, that's great. But if you provide a platform, even if it's 15 to 20 minutes for people to take the time to learn who it is that's running for office in their local municipality, I'll end with this, and it's something that you and I agree on. The election of somebody like you or an individual in a local commission is much more impactful to the daily lives of a resident than it is to even vote for the president of the United States. Because your border and your things and your inflation or whatever is one thing, but where you eat, where you play, where you walk, where your services are rendered, how quick the police come to you, whether your local hospital is good, whether your taxes go up, whether you're getting local credits, whether your parks are clean. Those are the things that you deal with on a daily basis. And Lisa, thank you again, not only for the time, but as an individual, it's wonderful to see. And I will tell you, I've seen commissioners over the years in the city of South Miami that just frankly haven't held the bar very high. So to see somebody who could raise it, to see somebody who could raise it is an exciting time. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too, Lisa. Take care, okay?